Well, hello everyone. It's been quite a while. Well, for good reason. As you may know, if you live in the US, that we had a pretty bad Arctic front come in with, I think the worst I've seen it was negative 30 degrees Celsius, no, negative 30 degrees Fahrenheit. And of course you cannot, you could if you wanted to. I have winter pants or snow pants, a down jacket, one of those balaclava, or whatever that thing's called, with the face hoods. But it's dangerous to go out in that kind of weather on a bike, no doubt. So I've been just driving instead. But so now I'm back. Today it's nice. It's 44. It's gonna get cold again, and I have to go out again in the near future. So it's, maybe I'll make a couple of videos of, like, more colder weather and see how the bike fares in terms of voltage drop. Of course, you're gonna get worse performance in the cold. As a lot of Tesla owners over the during the Arctic front reported like 50% drop in range. Doors that couldn't open because they were frozen. With the Tesla doors, you have to touch. It's like a touch door, and that was frozen, so they couldn't get into the cars, or they had to, get some hot air on it or something like that to get it open. But anyway, this is gonna be a pretty short ride. It's gonna go to, maybe I'll go a little bit further than my destination. Just talk. I want to talk about a couple problems that I had with the Cyclone, and let me preface by saying that these are probably my problems that I caused. The first problem I got was, I think I mentioned it in the previous video, but I didn't really talk about it, was my old wheel, the cassette broke. The rear wheel cassette broke. It wouldn't freewheel anymore. The freewheeling is that, as right now, I am being propelled by gravity. The chain is not moving. I'm not pedaling. The motor's not moving. So the rear cassette just does not move. It freewheels. So that was broken in the sense that it was moving when I was actually going down the hills, and that was causing constant derailments on the Cyclone, on the pedal chainring. So that was a huge problem. So I don't understand how that happened too, because I had the 500 watt wheel before. So I put the old wheel back on, which literally did not have any miles on it. And immediately when I put it back on, it felt wobbly. So maybe it's just like a defective wheel from Walmart. It's a Walmart bike, but the front wheel is fine. The hub on the front wheel is fine. So maybe it was just defective, and I thought it would last. I thought the wobble would kind of work its way out with time and engine pressure and chain pressure, but I guess not. So that was probably my fault, to using a wobbly wheel from Walmart. Okay, so that's number one. Number two was I was riding in the weather, a little bit wetter than this, and I used to have my controller closer to the bottom of the bike, but the controller was upside down, or it was right side up, so that the wires are pointing down. So I was thinking that would be good enough to wick water away from the controller, and I thought the top would be waterproof. But apparently it's not waterproof, it's water resistant. So halfway on my way back from the ride, in a little bit wetter than this, in this condition, the controller, the bike just stopped. I couldn't power it back on anymore. So I was actually really concerned because, I didn't hope anything didn't fry. So I just debugged it with my multimeter. The batteries are fine. The throttle control was fine too. Or the throttle was okay. It was reading the right voltage. So I emailed Paul, and he suggested that to just open up the controller and let it dry. So I did that. I let it dry for about half a day or a little bit more, and then now it works. So now yeah, that might have been my fault too. To not usually when people make e-bike kits or e-bike, especially when they want to make it to last, they make a compartment for the controller, a watertight compartment for the controller. So I didn't have that. My previous bike, I put the controller underneath the seat. So I think in that case, and I can't do that now because this controller is much bigger. So in that case, I think the seat protected it a lot more than the current controller. So anyway, I moved the controller up front as high as I can, and I put a plastic bag on it for now until it gets warmer. And then once it gets warmer, I will make a compartment for it. And I actually need to redesign the entire batteries too, because once it gets warmer, I think I need to make sure that there's enough venting in the battery compartments so that they don't overheat. Not that I push the batteries, obviously I'm a slower rider, as you can see. I'm only going 15-14 miles per hour right now. And so I'm gonna make a couple of rounds. I'm gonna go up here just so we can talk a little bit more, because I'm quite close to the school that I'm taking classes at. So anyway, what was I supposed to say? Yeah, so that was probably my fault too. So now I have a plastic bag on it, and hopefully that's will be enough until I make a adequate or a correct compartment for it. And what's the third thing? Yeah, so those are the two major things, and then also just a couple of chain derailments. One thing I don't like about the chain setup on this is that if your chain, your wheel chain jumps the pedal or jumps the crank, the pedal cranks, you have to actually take the crank off to get the chain back on. There's not enough, on my bike there's not enough, or I'm pretty sure on other bikes, there's not enough clearance between the frame of the bike and the pedal crank to just get it back on the fly. So you actually make sure you take your tools with you to get that on. The other small thing is that this morning when I was riding, my pedal, the chain on the motor fell off because it wasn't tight enough. And I think the reason why that's the case is that the tensioner was not tight enough. That was number one. So again, probably my fault. But the orientation of the tensioner, as shown in the installation photos, is not, I don't think it should be at that point. So I noticed that the chain, when it does jump, when it jumps, or in terms of alignment for the engine and the pedal crank, that tensioner should be closer to the pedal crank, not to the engine sprocket. And the reason why that is just how the chain is moving along those two chain rings. So I reoriented so that it's so basically it's right up on that pedal chain ring. So I think that's where I was having the problems, was jumping at that point, not on the actual engine sprocket. So I fixed that. So hopefully that'll be good enough. At some point I do need to remove some of the chain links from that chain because it's quite stretched compared to the original installation. Alright, so I'm gonna go a little bit faster. Good. 35, 36, just 35, 36. So this bike can go quite fast. So the reason why I don't go is I'm just not that kind of rider. I'm perfectly fine with going like around, as I mentioned, basically the specs of the gas generator that I want to use. Like 15 miles per hour into the wind, around 20-25 miles per hour with tailwind. That's kind of what I really want to sit at in terms of just what I'm comfortable riding. And sometimes, like, you know, as I just did, you know, going up to 36, just to have a little bit of fun. Or maybe if I'm particularly late for something, I would just, you know, juice it. But, you know, I'm not really that kind of fast rider. And also I don't have a helmet, and yada yada yada. And I'm a bad example of a rider. So, you know, all of those kind of factors comes in. So I'm actually here already. So that's the update. I'm definitely still going to do the gas generator. Yeah, there's a couple of things I learned from that too. So apparently the gas generator is 25% with a brushless motor, which is what I was going to use. It's 25% efficient. That's horrible. 25% efficient means that if my gas motor puts in 100 watts, or versus say 1,000 watts into the generator will only make 250 watts electricity. That's pretty bad. But I mean, it is what it is. There's no really other option. There's other types of electric motors out there, but I'm just not familiar with them. And their improvements are just not as good. As good as the rest. And the other thing I'm thinking about is that I don't want to talk too much because otherwise my nose seems to become crazy. The other thing I'm thinking about is, so I had that 500 watt motor from before, and since I ran into a couple of issues where some of them are pretty critical, where the bike's not going to work, I was thinking about just making a spare bike of that 500 watt motor, just in case, you know, something breaks or whatnot. I'll have something else to rely on. I was thinking about a folding bike also, and a folding bike would be good because, so I have an SUV like that, and I can get dropped off with that bike, fold it into the back, hopefully, and then I can, you know, or if I want to go far, you know, bike in the mountains or something like that, or not, bike in the countryside, I can just fold the bike and use one of these battery packs from the 72 volt on that 36 volt bike. This as a spare. And originally I was going to sell it on Craigslist, but I know I'm pretty bad at selling on Craigslist. I know I'm going to get peanuts for it. Whereas, like, okay, is it even worth selling the bike, selling the motor? If I'm getting peanuts for it, why not just keep it, make a spare bike for someone else to play with, or for myself? I think that's probably the better option. And then the folding bike is like $125. So I'm not sure which one I'll do first, either the spare bike or the gas motor. I'm thinking of the gas motor because I've been working on it for such a long, or I've been thinking about it for such a long time, and all of this videos are about that. And the other thing about the spare bike is that it'll give me a chance to, I want to actually try to play with ultra capacitors. And I talked about this before in a different video, where the ultra capacitors will take the brunt of the acceleration and slowly get charged by the bike once the bike's at speed. And when the bike's at speed, the lithium batteries will take over and charge the supercaps. And so basically it just helps that initial power. You know, as you saw before, when I was pushing the bike, my voltage dropped quite a bit from like 80.5 resting to like 70, 72, 73. So that's like a 6 volt drop. So with a supercapacitor, hopefully, you know, none of that will happen. Instead, the supercapacitor will take the brunt of that voltage, you know, requirement, or that power requirement, and you won't get that voltage drop on the lithium batteries, which, you know, if you have not very good cells, taxes the lithium batteries. So that's my thought at the moment. Anyway, that's it. I'm here. I need to actually study, so that's the update. And I'll talk to you guys later.